Paul Craig coming in at plus 195. He's moving down to middleweight. So this is going to be his middleweight debut against Andre Muniz, who's sitting at minus 235, over under 1.5 rounds, minus 140 for the over, plus 110 for the under. 4-1 in his last 5 for Andre Muniz, coming off the loss to Brendan Allen, where he got submitted in the 3rd round. Paul Craig, 3-2 in his last 5. And as I said, debut at middleweight. We'll see how he looks. But he doesn't have to deal with as big of punchers here at middleweight as he did at 205. He's coming off a 2-fight losing streak, and he was on quite the run. I mean, he had submitted Nikita Krylov, had the TKO against Jamal Hill, TKO against, or submission tap to strikes against Shogun Hua, Gaji Murov submission. And, I mean, he was on a run at 205, and then a couple losses. Guys kind of just figured him out. Volkan was like, I'm not going to go to the ground with you, and just kind of cruise to a decision. That was Paul Craig's only fight that ever went to a decision that he's ever been in, was against Volkan Oezdemir last July, so almost a year ago. And then he fights Johnny Walker at the beginning of the year and gets hammer-fisted when he was going for a leg, and decides to move down to 185. Against Andre Muniz. Both guys, great BJJ. Both guys got a lot of submissions under their record. Who you leaning in this one?
Yeah, it's another tough one. Both guys on the ground are phenomenal. I love watching Paul Craig on the ground, especially when he gets guys in that guard and throwing up arm bars. And like what he did to Jamal Hill was super impressive. And like some of the wins on his record are just hard to fathom that he's beat them. You got Jamal Hill, Nikita Krylov, guys who are, Jamal Hill maybe not so much on the ground, but Nikita Krylov, pretty slick in the jiu-jitsu department. And he's out there, submitting him via triangle choke. So that was super impressive to me. I mean, he beat Magomed Ankalaev as well. And just watching him in his last fight against Walker, it's hard to wrap your head around that this dude has beat guys like that. But he is dangerous. Muniz, coming off the loss to Brendan Allen, where he was a similar favorite. I believe he was like minus 200 against Allen as well.
Yeah.
So he's like coming in back-to-back minus 200 area after losing to Allen. Kind of interesting to me. But at the same time, like you look at it stylistically, and if Muniz wants to keep this fight on the feet, I think he will. I think he's going to have a slightly better striking. Paul Craig maybe hits a tad harder, but he's not out there landing many strikes when he does fight. So Muniz also, like, believe it or not, he's got a decent amount of UFC fights. He's fought Uriah Hall, took care of him just by taking him down and controlling him. Fought Eric Anders, beat him, in the first round by armbar. And, all of his fights combined, he's only getting hit 1.74 significant strikes per minute. So striking defense is decent. He's not really giving guys chance to land these big shots on him. And I don't see Paul Craig having much success on the feet either. And I think if Muniz follows him down into his guard, I think he's good enough with the jiu-jitsu to survive. So, yeah, I see Muniz winning this fight. Hate the price, especially coming off that loss to Brendan Allen. But I do think Muniz gets it done here.
Yeah, I absolutely hated Andre Muniz's game plan in his last fight against Brendan Allen. I was screaming at my TV, like, what are you doing? Like, he has some of the best BJJ like we've seen in the UFC, and he just decided not to use it that night. I don't know what he was on, but they were all talking like who was the better BJJ, him or Brendan Allen, and Andre Muniz goes out there, and we all thought Brendan Allen would probably have like a slight advantage on the feet just because he's there more than Andre Muniz has been. Muniz decides to strike with him for the first 2 rounds and then tries to go for the takedown in round 3 when he might be losing. Finally decides to go for it in round 3, and he gets taken down, and then he gets submitted. So I'm like, what are we doing here? And as you said, minus 200 somewhere around there with Brendan Allen. Same price here against Paul Craig. Not quite the similar opponent that Brendan Allen is, but who knows how Paul Craig's going to be at middleweight. Like he's going to be pretty big for middleweight, like 6'3", obviously going to have, if he's submitting guys at 205, like imagine the strength that he's going to have going down to 185. We'll see how he looks with the weight cut, but from what I've seen, he looks like he's in pretty damn good shape. Just kind of shed off some of the excess weight, and he looks pretty lean. So coming into this one, you look at the stats, both guys have terrible takedown defense because they don't care to get taken down. That's where they want to go. Both guys have very poor takedown accuracy because they're going to shoot for takedowns. And Paul Craig's thing is just pull guard now. So I'm interested to see how this fight plays out. Like, does it just play out as a kickboxing fight? Because these two guys are too, like, they don't want to end up on bottom or something. But Paul Craig's like never afraid to end up on bottom. So my fear about with taking Paul Craig is he goes and tries to pull guard, and then he just ends up on the ground on his back for most of the fight, and Muniz just avoids all the submissions. But
yeah,
at the price he's at, I'm willing to take it. I'm going to say it's dog or pass to me. And I fell for the Paul Craig trap before. I fell for it against Volkan Oezdemir. I did not fall for it against Johnny Walker. I learned my lesson there, but he's a bigger dog here against Andre Muniz, who doesn't present much on the feet and much knockout power. So I got to go Paul Craig. I got to go with my boy here.
Yeah.
You. And we'll see how he looks at middleweight. Maybe he's just levels above in strength moving forward. So
yeah, and if you are like on Paul Craig, the one thing that's got to give you a little bit of confidence is looking at his past losses. He's really only losing to these big power punchers, guys with like good striking. You know, you look at Alonzo Minifield, good striking, who's powerful. Khalil Roundtree, Tyson Pedro, Volkan Oezdemir, Johnny Walker. I mean, those are the guys he's getting beat by, and he did get subbed by Jimmy Crute, but could be a one-off thing. So, but I mean, he's submitting and beating Nikita Krylov, Shogun Hua in the rematch. I mean, Magomed Ankalaev via triangle. Like, this dude is super dangerous no matter who is in your guard. So, yeah, man, if he's not fighting a power puncher, it is going to play out super interesting in my opinion too.
Yeah, I think there's a guy that's always live for a finish. It's Paul Craig.
Yeah,
even if you have him knocked out on the ground, just ask Nikita Krylov. Like,
yeah,
still alive for a finish. So
he just shocks the hell out of you too. It's like, where did that? It's crazy the stuff he pulls off. So
I love it. I love it. I'm gonna go with Paul Craig. You're going with Muniz.